Welcome, 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 welcome to another Friday show with me, Rooster Guerilla, your favorite obnoxious nonpartisan covering all things OSINT, drone-related topics, and things that pique my interest. You know how I normally do things. I do things where I cover all the local stories and then I move up into some of the interesting topics that are going on internationally. But I wanted to talk to you about Discount Gun Mart last Saturday was awesome. I don't know if you guys had a chance to check out Discount Gun Mart's sidewalk sale. They do that, I believe, once a quarter, and they offer a ton of vendors that come out and sell some of their new products. SIG was there. Nobody was shot, but I think people picked up some pretty cool optics there. SIG had a booth. Just had to put that out there. Also, good pizza, good environment. So if you haven't been to a Discount Gun Mart sidewalk sale, highly recommend it. Go check it out. The next one I think will be coming up here shortly. So keep your ears to the ground and reach out to Gun Owners Radio if you want to find out more of that schedule that comes up. The other thing that was going on, I don't know if you saw this, but last night we had the first, I don't know if this is the first annual thing, but we had our mayoral summit with Bill Wells of El Cajon, John Franklin of Vista, Dane White of Escondido, Keith Blackburn of Carlsbad, and it was pretty neat. So we asked people to come and bring all their tough, hard-hitting questions, which nobody disappointed. Their mayors were asked a number of questions, but most notably to me was the how they thought culture was shifting or any impacts they saw in their capacity that they thought was one of the biggest items to tackle. Of course, all of them coalesced around homelessness as the primary issue or number one issue that they're facing, and covered the gamut of issues there with what city councils go through on trying to deal with the homeless crisis. Many good proposals have been made. Many different policies were put forth. Anyway, I say all that to say that it was a great event. It gave people an opportunity to get up and close with their mayors and ask those hard-hitting questions that they don't normally get to do. So if you like that, definitely check out the next one. I'm not sure what we have coming up here as far as mayoral summits. Keep your ears to the ground, and we may have something more in the future. Also, it's a good opportunity to kind of meet the people who are running for office. We got a young up-and-comer here I want you to pay attention to. Because his name's Cole Marting, and he's running for the North County Fire District up there. So I don't know if you guys knew, but in 2020, all that with the fire districts changed, and how they were district and parsed out amongst the county, and in North County in particular is a pretty interesting district. Follow this gentleman, this young kid here, up-and-comer, author of California's Toughest Challenges and Common Sense Conservative Ways to Solve Them. So check that out. I think it's available on Amazon, but go to Cole Marting for NorthCountyFireDistrict.com. You're going to find a little bit more information about this young up-and-comer. Coronado, NASCAR, those two are going to get married next year. I'm just kidding, but NASCAR's coming to Coronado June of 26. I want to say June 19th through 21st, 2026. NASCAR is going to be hosted at Naval Base Coronado over there in North Island. So if you're a big NASCAR lover, then you're in luck. We're going to have NASCAR coming to NASNY. And I'm not really sure where main seating's at this point, but I know they have all the plans laid out and they're making final determinations on sort of like the vendors and all that stuff. So stay tuned for more information on NASCAR coming to Coronado. This wasn't necessarily San Diego, but interesting nonetheless. I consider it SoCal. Los Angeles man charged with attempting to provide material support to foreign terrorist organizations. Mark Lorenzo Villanueva, a 29-year-old man from Long Beach, was charged with attempting to provide material support to ISIS by sending money to individuals he believed were ISIS fighters. He faces a potential sentence of up to 20 years in federal prison if convicted. And it's interesting if these convictions are under the new domestic terrorism definitions that we've been talking about. Interesting nonetheless that we're still got folks there providing material to ISIS. Do you guys remember that movie, Erin Brockovich? That's the one where she fights the town who is contaminating the water with toxic chemical. SB 466 is giving water agencies temporary immunity from lawsuits involving toxic chemicals like chromium-6. I believe that's actually the chemical that was in the movie. Somebody correct me on that, but chromium-6 is a huge issue right now, and I guess it's in the Southern California region. And right now, those agencies will be given temporary immunity if SB 466 passes. Pay attention out there because these folks are trying to poison the water and do it with protection by state legislature. All right, before we move into our tech section, I want to cover a lot of the training that's going on right now in San Diego County. So if you guys don't know, San Diego County is the mecca of training. There's a niche and a group for every aspect of training you can think of. In fact, we got August 17th, Combat Pistol at West Coast Kinetic Solutions. I believe they're doing that up at Pala. So check that out. Matt's a good friend, and he's running that course. And if you want to get your pistol game leveled up, go ahead and check them out. West Coast Kinetic Solutions offering Combat Pistol Level 1, August 17th, 2025. Coming up right along in that window is the 2-day Intro to SpecOps Land Nav course, which is 16 to 17 August. So that's coming up next weekend. Brought to you by Change of Behavior. That one actually sounded pretty interesting. So those who follow my channel before knows I got Ruck. I love to go out there and do that stuff. So I'm going to go check this out and see what they have to offer in a SpecOps Land Nav course. I don't know if you guys saw this one, but Active Shooter Defense School is running another iteration of their aerial helicopter rifleman's class. That's where they put somebody in a helicopter, let them shoot some rounds off there. August 23rd, you can get a ride in a helicopter and you can shoot your rifle from the air, from a helicopter, if you want to. August 23rd, $550 gets you in the door, but it's pretty cool. I don't know if you guys seen it, but you get to go up in a helicopter, spend about 10, 15 minutes up there shooting God knows what, but it's a pretty cool thing. If you haven't had a chance to shoot out of a helicopter, this is it. So go up there, get your wings, get your qual, and go kick some ass. This is pretty neat. Not really a news story, but I wanted to show you a video of the APKWS system we talked about last week. This thing's gnarly. Look at this video here. This is BAE's heavy lift Malloy TRV 150, and that thing can carry a lot. But 35 pounds of missiles is a big deal. Okay, moving right along. Chinese Spider drone has entered the market. We have a DIY prototype. It walks, it swims, it flies, and can even shoot tiny little missiles. This multi-legged redundancy, unlike wheeled or bipedal systems. Smaller, more modular, biologically inspired systems are gaining momentum in places like China. And it's interesting to point out that this innovation doesn't always start out in the lab. Sometimes it's the fringe hobbyist or communities that are into this kind of thing that can drive at least what the future capabilities will maybe look like. So don't ignore fringe developments. Okay, moving right along with national news here. U.S. Navy flies solar-powered drone for 73 hours straight. This test took place at an airbase in Mississippi with participation of Sky Dweller Aero and the Naval Air Warfare Center Aircraft Division. The UAV maintained a positive energy balance around the clock, demonstrating the ability to make autonomous decisions, maintain communication, and operate stably under turbulence and challenging day and night conditions. The device is based on a modified manned model with an increased wingspan, equipped with upgraded electronics, and completely free from the need for refilling or external power supply. Skydweller is designed for extended operations in maritime reconnaissance and surveillance. It's got a huge wingspan, 72-meter wingspan, and takeoff mass of approximately 2,500 kilograms. That's pretty much, that's a lot. Get this. The drone is equipped with over 17,000 photovoltaic cells capable of generating up to 100 kilowatts. It powers 655 kilograms of lithium-ion batteries for night operations and can fly at altitudes ranging from 24,000 feet to 44,000 feet. It's pretty high. The aircraft can carry 360 kilograms payload, including EO, IR sensors, lightweight radar, AIS receivers, and a communication suite. This drone is designed for missions potentially exceeding 30 days and points to the continuous ISR need for maritime operations. So can you think something like this hovering up over the ocean, large swaths of the Pacific Ocean, for 30 days straight without having to be refueled? It could probably do more, but I think at that point, things like maintenance become a factor. But it's interesting to show that you can now have a stay time of up to 30 days for an ISR asset that you can task, move, keep an eye out on things. So very interesting tech coming out. New combat ground drone, the Zimmy Droid 12.7. This is an armored ground drone that is resistant to anti-personnel mines and can withstand attacks from several enemy FPV drone strikes. Also equipped with surveillance tools. So we're starting to see a lot more of these like multi-purpose, robust, heavily armored ground drones, which is interesting. Okay, this was another interesting one. Russia is developing a wearable electronic warfare device designed to protect individual soldiers against drones. The device reportedly disrupts both communication links and GPS signals, making it difficult for enemy drones to operate effectively. The system includes a head-mounted module with 2 antennas, a switching harness, and an arm-mounted display, and a battery pack. The system detects drones through radio signature and then appears to intercept drones' video feed. This is pretty cool, which is displayed in the arm-mounted system, or on the arm-mounted screen. So what they're saying is the person wearing this thing can see the video from the drone that they're intercepting on their armband, which is interesting because conventional jammers usually focus on control and navigation links, which are easier to disrupt. So the video requires way more jamming power. So this thing's going to have a lot more jamming power to jam what we would say 6.0 megahertz or more. Russia's Unmanned Systems Center, the Rusicon, has begun deploying naval strike drones as well as submersible ones. So I look at these, and this is pretty interesting. I guess you could say the first instance of what you're seeing here was the Cole, Al Qaeda, the USS Cole in Yemen. We saw the remote control boat go right up to the boat, boom. Now we're starting to see that more and more in 2025. So we've had 24 years of evolution of warfare tactics and drone technology, and you're still seeing the tactics that we saw in 2001. I thought that was interesting. All right, so this is a fun one. So you're seeing what is essentially the evolution of counter UAS technology for the last 5 or 6 years, and we're getting Russian soldiers equipped now with net deploying guns. It's pretty neat. So that last ditch effort, we talked about shotguns, but in this case, Russian soldiers are being issued these net guns that will deploy and potentially down an FPV drone. You see those videos that are coming through on Telegram and all through Instagram where they're just chasing people down, but they had a net gun. You know, this thing looks like something Batman would have used on the Joker. Information about a video channel up to 7.2 gigahertz has been circulating through different channels. Many do not believe it could break 6.2 gigahertz. Current RF frequency tables for drone use in Russia shows they end at 6.0 gigahertz. I brought this up because what you see here is when you develop an intelligence resource like RF tables, you can track various types of drones through their signal aperture, their frequency, their oscillation, their particular oscillation. We talked a little bit about that last week, how you can fine tune and bed that data into a database that's searchable to where you can pinpoint a particular frequency just based on its characteristics. And so this is no different. So building these tables out requires passive listening, so collecting information that way and building out a library full of just different radio frequency signatures. And this is no exception. So 7.2 has been recorded. So it's interesting because the jamming, as we talked about, would require more power for a 7.2 gigahertz video feed. So yeah, make a list of common frequencies for your area. Get those in a binder somewhere. So if you're out there listening, you know what those signals are. All right, this is a fun one. So keeping on the theme of counter UAS strategies, Russia is now reportedly putting bird-shaped decals on the reconnaissance drones in an effort to combat Ukrainian AI interceptor drones. So they have these AI drones that are preset to target a specific shape of design, like the Shahad. But in this case, Russians are spoofing it with pictures of birds on top of their drones. So that's interesting because now you got those AI face trackers. You can just take one of those, figure out how to program it for a certain shape, put that on a drone, and then load that thing with munitions, and you can pretty much go let that thing be an autonomous drone, a fire and forget missile, if you will. And all it does is it just tracks things that look like this particular shape. So very, very effective low-tech solutions to modern warfare problems. Moving right along. This was a big one. So Russian secret documents about a secret Russian nuclear sub leaked on August 3rd. The Ukrainian Main Intelligence Directorate, the GUR, announced the successful exfiltration of a comprehensive cache of classified data regarding the Russian Navy's newest strategic nuclear submarine, the Knyaz Bizharsky 4A class nuclear sub. And they're showing that of the seized documents, it lays out the ship's daily logs, its op schedule, it's like its routine logbook, transfer procedures for wounded personnel, cargo handling procedures. So basically the whole thing around this nuclear sub, which is their one premier sub. So it'd be the equivalent of somebody leaked all the ship's logs and operating logs and crew procedures for a Virginia class sub there in Virginia. And they're out there floating on the internet right now. So people can get their hands on that and learn all the vulnerabilities of this particular nuclear 4A class submarine. Chinese drone swarms. So you guys have been seeing this stuff float around here, but China drone swarms and robotic wolf packs were showcased in coordinated combat in the groundbreaking Army exercise, which was the first ever reveal of unmanned warfare tactics by the PLA last week. So they're out there doing these exercises and they're integrating it with these drones and automated systems. And they're trying to show a force. This is probably more like a recruitment effort, but showing latest developments and what the Chinese are thinking in terms of military strategy. So this was interesting. You see the blue helmet or the blue smoke on the helmet. What's that all about? it's just interesting when you see the PLA do large scale exercises like this, because it's an indicator of what they're adapting strategy to, which leads us to our next topic here, which is the new media showed footage last week of the PLA's exercise attempting amphibious landing from open water. This is an interesting exercise here. They were conducting amphibious landing exercises, which is fueling concerns over Beijing's growing emphasis on Taiwan invasion readiness. China shows dozens of Type 5 amphibious armored vehicles disembarking from large landing ships and storming simulated beachhead under coordinated cover fire. The Navy personnel, supported by airborne drones and fixed-wing aircraft, can be seen establishing a perimeter and advancing inland, suggesting a multi-domain rehearsal designed to test rapid coastal seizure and force projection. So as we talked about, amphibious forces in open water, rather than their sheltered coastlines, indicates the PLA's increased realism in its exercises. So all this points towards regaining Taiwan. And I don't know if you guys saw this, but Trump also just recently announced the 100% tariff on semiconductors imported into the United States. So it's an attempt to foster and bolster development of homeland semiconductor production, but also it might signal a realistic outlook on 2030 or so with respect to the Chinese intent to regain Taiwan. Okay, wrapping it up here. Got this interesting video out of China showing a huge swarm being affected by someone jamming, using whatever jamming frequency they were on, but supposedly it was unintentional, but you see the effectiveness of jamming. These things just started flying out of the sky. But I thought that was an interesting thing just to see what it would look like. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap it up here for me. So if you like what you're getting, don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Go ahead and let me know how I can get better in the comments below. If you like these stories, if they're boring, let me know. Or if you want to hear something else, go ahead and let me know what you want to hear about, and I'll go ahead and start working on that. But before I go, I want to talk to you about a few events coming up here. So September 6th and 7th, mark your calendars. We've got the Escondido Gun Show coming back to San Diego. That's going to be at the Escondido Convention Center, September 6th and 7th. So go ahead and mark your calendars. Go check it out. Last time we were there, Last Shots Arizona was there selling smokes. So you go easily pick up smoke grenades there without having to pay that enormous shipping cost. So that's one reason to go there. Optics, parts, spare parts are easy to get there. There's not a whole hassle. The ammo process was pretty easy too. So don't go be sleeping on these gun shows that are coming into town. There's a lot of reasons to go there. Also, September 6th, we got Rooster Recon. That's a live practical. We're going to be using radios out there. So if you're an intro to off-grid communications grad, or if you're interested in radio, come check it out. Come meet some of the folks that have gone to the class. Come see what using radio is all about. We're going to be doing some pretty interesting things there. We're going to be using some drones. We're going to be targeting and using radio to coordinate that. So come join us September 6th. It's going to be fun. We got a registration link here. I'll put in the description so you can sign up so we know who's coming and make appropriate accommodations. Also, September 20th is your next chance to get into Intro to Off-Grid Communications. This isn't your normal class. There's a lot of folks out there that are trying to do a communications class right now, and that's great. It's good to learn how to turn on a radio. It's good to learn how to use the buttons. We do cover that. But what we do is we cover so much more. We walk folks through how to look at information that's coming in through multiple sources, whether that's coming in through SDR, whether it's being used to passively collect through radio itself. We talk a lot about how to actually process and use the information, how to analyze the information, and actually become your own intelligence resource using things like SIGINT, OSINT, IMIT. We talk about radio-based imagery. So all those topics, if you like the sound of that, or if you're interested to learn more, go ahead and check us out. I'll leave a link in the description below of how you can sign up for September 20th, Intro to Off-Grid Communications class at Cargo in El Cajon. That's a great store. Check it out. I'm pretty sure they're going to be carrying Mesh-tastic radios here soon. Cargo's a great spot for this class. It's got plenty of space. It's got plenty of parking. So if you're in El Cajon, September 20th, go ahead and check us out. You get one free radio. You get the option to purchase additional radios, but you also walk out with one Lily Go Mesh-tastic radio, which gets you in the door and into the world of Mesh-tastic, which is something else we talk about, which a lot of folks don't really know about. So if all that sounds good to you, like I said, go ahead and check it out. We got a lot more coming up for you, a lot more of those labs, a lot more of those exercises, real world applications, so that way you won't be caught with your pants down. When disaster strikes, you'll have a plan, and you'll have an ability and the skill set to be an asset to your community. So that's going to do it for me, guys. Again, I love every one of you for sticking around this long. If you, again, like what you see, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you can stay up to date on all things Red Rooster Guerilla. All right, guys. Have a great weekend. God bless. Everyone loves you.